Hello, and welcome back. We've got a pretty interesting tutorial today because we are going to be focusing on instrument racks. And if you look in here under our instruments folder, where we have all of our MIDI instruments, which are things that you would drop on a MIDI track. Might as well drop a MIDI track on here. Record an arm, as always. So we've got an instrument rack. Let's drop an instrument rack. Instrument rack is, you can drop all of these synthesizers. Like you could drop an analog on here, push a note, ouch. Drop a, collision on here. And you're hearing both, right? So if I turn collision off, so that's pretty darn interesting, right? Delete. So we're going to make one, and we're going to make one with field recordings, because I have a weird suspicion, not a weird suspicion, I have a feeling, I have a suspicion that you guys really like found sound, field recordings. I guess you could say that's the same thing. So we're going to start with that. We're going to do that, and we're going to create a multi-sampled instrument rack in Ableton Live. Now, this is going to be a little bit similar, but different to the found sound tutorial that I made. And if you watch the first podcast of SDHO, the Sound Design Hangout, in those videos, we took field recordings and we were primarily using audio tracks, and we were taking these field recordings, which is anything you go out and like record with your phone or phone recording device, right? Which could be your phone. I found that the iPhone, its audio recorder's pretty darn good, or at least good enough for me. When you are outside recording, have like a wind sock on it, because you'll notice wind really can screw up your recordings. But with that, I digress. So what we want to do is I'm going to drop a sampler on here. And remember how I had that instrument rack? Well, we're going to have a bunch of samplers inside of it. So we're going to get our sampler in here, and making sure we're on the device, we're going to push Command G, which would be Control G on a PC. And we're going to open this guy right here. So we're just going to call this Sampler 1. And with it still highlighted, I'm going to push Command D to duplicate. I'm just going to rename it Sampler 2, Sampler 3, and of course, going to get it some different colors, because why not? And just to illustrate what I'm doing, I'm going to turn off the audio from 2 and 3, and we're just going to focus on 1. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to basically stack up multiple field recordings. I'm going to process them, and I'm going to have the sampler process them all in different ways, because there's 3 different sampler devices in this instrument rack. Now, how is this different compared to what we did before? Well, before it was in an audio track, and after we processed it, we used the repitch warp mode to stretch it. And that's what allowed us to dial in our pitch, or to dial in our sound design properties. And we got very unique sounds. And what's really cool about that is you can have multiple of them all playing at different pitches, different samples. But the reason why I want to do this is I want you to see just how powerful Ableton Live's instrument racks are. And what's cool about when you have it in MIDI, when you have it in a sampler, is that you can play it all across the keyboard, right? So you can hold down like 5 notes and that sample gets played at 5 different notes and it plays. And with this, we're not just playing back one sample, one field recording. We're playing back 3 at the same time, maybe 4. We could even do 5, 6, 7. We can keep going. As long as your computer can handle it, we can do it. So let's start. So what you want to do to follow along with me, you can use any sample, but I'm going to be using samples that I recorded out in the field, hence field recordings. So if we go to Ken's Sounds, which is where I keep my sounds, I've got my found sound, and I want some sort of like outside sound because, I don't know, maybe I don't. Let's just see what might be interesting. Let's do a crystal bowl sound because when we have multiple of these, if they're in pitch, it should sound very interesting. Why don't we try this one? Okay. Let's zoom in. So I'm playing it, right? Let's go into Filter Global tab. And this is all the volume properties. We want to give it some release because you know we love release on this show. Whereas before, you even hear it click because there's no release. You want to get release. Oh man, that just sounds great. Interesting. Let's see what note this is. So let's come into here. Let's go into audio effects, utilities, drop a tuner. Ooh, wow, that really moves. I'm gonna come back into sample and I'm gonna push the detune up. It really changes a lot, so it's kind of hard to see exactly where it's playing. It's A sharp. And yeah, tuner's not really helping me out here. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to make sure that I've got this zoomed in here. I'm going to go into MIDI effects, and I'm going to drop a pitch on here. Now I'm going to drop the pitch here. This means that this pitch is only going to apply to sampler 1. It's not going to be on sampler 2 or sampler 3. Now you could also drop a pitch out here and then it would apply to everything, but that's not what I want right now. So I'm going to do a shift down arrow. Ooh. So I'm going to go into audio effects, and if you hear some of that background noise, I'm going to see if I can take some of that out. So this is just sound processing. I'm going to drop a channel EQ and see it right now. You can hear it. Kind of just takes it out. I'm also going to lower some of the lows because I don't need like a lot of lows on that sound. So that's pretty cool. Let's come into here and see if we like this guy better because he's bigger. Does this make it sound better? It's just a better. So basically that's like I have a crystal bowl. You guys know about crystal singing bowls or anything? So I just recorded it because I wanted to play around with it. That's why. Record your own sounds, man. It's really fun. Listen to that. I'm playing a minor chord. It's wonderful, isn't it? So let's add something else. So that's like what I like about this sound. besides it just sounding amazing. And actually, before we move on, let's see what we can do with a reverb on here. Let's just do a regular reverb. Without. It already kind of has its own reverb because I was like recording it in a room, so it just has natural reverb. But I just want to see if this gives it something a little bit special. I'm going to up the pre-delay because I don't want it to. Pre-delay basically says, like, don't start the reverb till 13 milliseconds, so more of the transients aren't getting processed. Give it more decay. That's like how long the reverb tail goes for. Wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sample 2. Nothing's there. Oh no. Sampler 2. Why is nothing there? Well, because we got to do something. I'm actually going to turn off the audio of sample 1. And we're just going to focus on sampler 2. So go back into your samples, which, by the way, you have your own samples here. If you've got your own, like, I don't really know what these are. These are just millions of samples that came with Ableton. There's just too many. I'd rather just use my own because I want to use more like field recordings that I did. So let's see. Shower time. I wonder what shower time is. Hopefully a shower. Let's do it. Lower the volume. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to loop it with sustain mode. And I'm going to bring the loop start in. I'm going to bring the loop end in, and I'm going to add some crossfade. And I'm going to give it some attack to the volume. So it's not, it's more. Here how it stops, give it release. Now let's bring back our bowl. Let's lower the volume. Dude, is it just me or does that sound good? So why is that different? Well, because in our sound design hangout, which, by the way, that is the podcast, that's where we're going to have extra fun. We are going to be really just chilling, hanging out there. These are going to be more like step-by-step tutorials. Watch both. Maybe you like one better. Maybe you just like them all. So what we did is we used audio tracks. Now we're using MIDI tracks. What's nice about this technique is, you know, we're using these samples. But because we're in MIDI, we can play them all around. We can, you know, however many fingers you have, maybe you have 15 fingers, you can put them all down, right? And it gives you, it's just another thing that you can do. So I'm going to go into sampler 2 and I'm going to turn off sampler 1. And watch it when it loops. Now, when it loops, I'm going to lower this. Now, when this loops, notice if you can hear it clicking over, because we put this crossfade on. So take a listen. You couldn't hear it. It looped, you couldn't hear it. That's like another big benefit. What you will find is if you're like really trying to process your samples and you got them in like an audio track and you've got it looped, when it clicks over, if it's not perfectly at a zero crossing when it ends and when it starts, you're going to get a click over, and it's going to be very obvious, especially if you're adding delay. Like the click will like ping pong around and delay around. So this is a really good way to sort of. I'm going to process this. I'm going to get this guy on here. This is a high pass filter, which says let all the highs pass up to this amount. I'm going to give it a little bit of filter movement, coming here to modulation. Turn retrigger off, put it up on filter, and we're going to take down the frequency. It's very subtle. This is supposed to be a subtle effect. A little bit of pitch. You can already hear the pitch taking hold. A little bit of volume, and a little bit of pan. So now it moves around the stereo spectrum. You can already hear it got wider. Let's bring back in sampler 1. Let's actually rename it to bowl. Singing bowl. This will be shower power. Now let's play it. I can hold it forever. Actually, let's go back into singing bowl. I want it to... Sampler 3, what do we want for sample 3? River walk. Whoops, gotta make sure we're on sampler 3. This is just like a random outdoor noise. We need something different. This is, I think, just noises of a noisy house late at night with your dog snoring. I'm going to put it on sustain mode. Bring in the loop start and end. Add some crossfade. I'm going to really turn up the volume. And I'm going to go into the settings here. I'm going to give it some release. A little bit of attack. I just want like just basic background ambience because truthfully everything I'm getting from here already sounds really good. I'm going to go into audio effects and I'm going to drop a hybrid reverb. I'm going to come into here. I'm going to use halls. Ooh, that sounds nice. I'm going to drop it on parallel so I hear both. I'm going to put this on quartz, bass to mono, lower the dry wet. This is good, but I want to drop a compressor on here, beef this bad boy up. Let's go into MIDI effects. Let's drop this pitch on here. Let's take the pitch down an octave. That didn't do a lot. Get rid of it. All right, now let's bring it in with the shower power. Shower power too loud. Let's bring it up. So just the first one. In fact, I'm going to go back to this guy. I'm just going to call this like late night ambience, whatever the hell that means. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go into audio effects. I'm going to drop a flanger on here. I think a flanger could be good for this. Pitch and modulation. Phaser flanger. Without. With. Too much. Go to hertz. Take down the amount. Let's go to phaser. Lower the frequency. Let's see what that sounds like with the shower power. Bring up the volume of shower power. Okay, shower power. Go into pitch oscillator, turn up spread. Now watch it get... All right, let's turn off late night ambiance and listen to shower power. Very mono, right down the middle. Listen to what happens when we turn up spread. not working the way I thought it was going to. Here's what I'm going to do with shower power. Are we in shower power? No, we're not. That's why. Okay, so listen to shower power. Very mono. Now listen when I put up spread. Hear it? Without. Nah, don't like it. I don't like it. I want to give spatial width in another way, so I'm going to go to delay. I'm going to drop a delay on here. Put it on ping pong. A little bit of modulation down here. I'm going to turn the rate down. I always like very low rates. Now let's... oh, that sounds so good, doesn't it? Bring it up. Now let's get the singing bowl back in. Lower it. Singing bowl. I'm in singing bowl. I'm going to give it more release. So we've got a multi-sampled instrument here. It's made up of 3 different samplers. Okay. And we can play it. It's playing multiple samples across the keyboard. There's nothing else to do. Here, let's double click this instrument rack. Let's go into audio effects and dynamics. Let's get a glue compressor. Now this is applying to the whole thing. Turn on soft clipping, lower the threshold so we get a little bit of gain reduction. Release on automatic. Without. Honestly, you didn't even need to do that part, and I don't even really care. I'm getting rid of it. So one last thing is click on the instrument rack, and let's call it multi-awesomeness. Multi-awesome. And let's click this save button. Okay. And now we have it saved as an instrument. And how do we find that? We go to User Library, go to Presets, and you'll see Audio, Instruments, MIDI Effects. Go to Instruments, Instrument Rack, Multi-Awesome. So if you drag it, there you have it. And now you have it saved for future use. So that's it. That is it. That is definitely it. And I hope that you saw that, using samples, recorded samples, field recordings, found sound, and you can do different things with it in audio tracks. You can do different things with it with samplers. And now I've taught you the power of instrument racks so you can make these very complex multi-sampled instrument devices. When you look in here, you've got these samplers. Well, you can drag other things. You can drag multiple analogs, multiple collisions, multiple operators. You can have just all of these different things, and some of them might be short sounds, some of them might be longer sounds. So you're basically able to create super synthesizers. And I hope you got something from this. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to have episode number 2 of Sound Design Hangout, SDHO, coming up soon. And I'm starting to get a lot more ideas of new videos to do. I'm going to be doing a lot of wavetable and collision. I've basically never used... That's not true. I've used collision more than probably everyone, but no one uses collision, and I've very rarely used it, and it's starting to become my favorite synthesizer. So we're going to have a collision tutorial coming up. So if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you had a great time. I certainly did. And yeah, let me know if you want some custom tutorials. What do you want to know about? Do you got anything? Leave that in the comments, and I hope you're having a great day.